Hey everybody, this is Ed Diaz and I'm here with Gustavo Lopez of AMSI, and we're going to chop it up a little bit about what's going on with this whole real estate market, particularly here in San Francisco. We're in Bernal Heights right now, and as you all know, rates have gone through the roof. We're in the fives, and by the way, if you go look at some of my videos for a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, did I not say we were going to the fives? Go check it out, because I called it and I said it was going to happen. I also am going to throw this out there, and I've said this in my past videos. We are going to go through a mild recession. I think by the end of the year, if not Q1 2023. Good news about that is that rates have a tendency to go down with recession, so hopefully that happens. We're at an 8.5% inflation rate. That's got me worried because, as you know, the only thing that puts the brakes on high inflation rates is increasing interest rates. It's to keep people from spending and to stop really the demand for products. And of course, we have this whole supply chain issue as well. But thank you so much, Gustavo, for being here
Always
today.
my pleasure, Ed. Always a pleasure to be your guest.
Sharing a little bit of cafecito, as we say in Spanish, a little bit of coffee and some talk. So let's just chop it up here about Bernal Heights. I mean, Bernal has changed so much. I remember, look, my mom came to Presida Park in 1968. It was July, I believe, 1968, and she was paying like $50 a month for rent. And here we are now. Bernal has changed completely.
$50 a month.
Can you
Wow.
believe? I think houses were like $15,000.
Yeah, until 1990, right in around Holly Park, for instance, houses were selling there for $90,000. $90,000. When a house over there is now $3 million, $4 million. For instance, a listing was sold last year on the corner in between Park Street and Holly Park.
Okay, which is right back here.
Yeah, it was a fixer-upper with, so the old guard living there. So they sold the house for $1.4 million. And then
$1.4 million for a fixer-upper.
For a fixer-upper, yes. And they bought it for $90,000 back in 1990. So you can tell that they made, they make basically a 1,000% appreciation equity in there. And now that they rebuilt that house, and the value of that place is almost $5 million at this very moment.
I don't know if you guys caught all that. So they buy it for, how much did they buy it for?
They bought it for $1,400,000.
So $1.4 million.
But the other people bought it in 1990 for $90,000.
Right. So we went from $90,000 in the '90s to $1.4 million. They renovated it and it sold for $5 million. So this is what I say when in the rest of the country you guys are buying for $500,000-$600,000. That's what people put for down payments out here, right?
That's
so
right.
Let's talk about who are these people. So who is buying, for example, here in Bernal in San Francisco?
Yeah, usually here in Bernal Heights, what you will find is demographics that are European, or that basically come from Europe. Families, little young families, 35 years old average,
with little kids.
Babies buying these big houses here in Bernal because, for instance, cafes, the restaurants,
the infrastructure here.
Yes, the Holly Park that used to be back in the 1990s, according with the old guard, that used to be a place where people were doing drugs and all sort of nasty business.
Presida Park, they used to call it Heroin Park, I mean, for a reason. And now you go look at it, it's super bougie, right?
Yeah, well, you have Disneyland dogs, so in Holly Park, hanging out with babies and families, and people feel very safe in here. The house that I'm selling right now, 618 and over, I sold that house from Doña Maria back in 2019 for $950,000. They bought it in 1949.
49?
Yes, in 1949 they bought that house, 618 and over. They bought it for $17,000.
$17,000 in 1949.
That's right. Then I sold the house for $950,000. A total fixer-upper once again.
Total fixer for $950,000.
The investor came over. He put $600,000, and now the house is being sold for $2,375,000. And most likely today we are going to see the offer date, and I will not be surprised if we see $2,850,000 or $3 million.
$3 million. So you figure they almost doubled their money.
That's correct, exactly. So everybody is making money in here. And by the way, the demographics that I see coming over, once again,
Europeans.
Europeans or tech people.
Yeah.
So
Are
that's,
they buying all cash, by the way?
a lot of them are buying in cash.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they're bidding, like you said, $200,000 to $500,000 over. I mean, that person most
even
likely has
500.
a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
They're all cash. They're not going to be people with financing who need my loans, for example.
Which take us to what we were talking about, so where is the people that is in need of a good rate from a bank, a good loan, is people that are looking for in areas like the Excelsior district, Outer Mission.
And those
So
are more working class folks that aren't.
that's correct.
That
Yes.
are not techies,
They're-
most likely.
Well, they're still tech, so you will
But
find
it's
that
not predominant, right? It's not predominantly tech. They're your everyday worker.
you're
right?
everyday worker.
Yeah, middle class and that are working hard, sometimes two jobs. And those are typically the ones that are looking for financing and are not a little, but a lot
Right.
interest rate sensitive, but the folks that are buying here in Bernal, for example, that are buying $3, $4, $5 million, they could care less what the rates are doing because they are their own bank. They're paying cash.
Yes, and if you actually go to places like the Excelsior, like Paris, Madrid,
Yep.
Geneva,
All the
you
European
will
streets.
find a lot of yes, that's right. You will find a lot of good deals. There are a lot of fixer-uppers there. There are a lot of houses for sale that are basically they're reachable to the working
and that's
class.
that generation is what's happening to that generation that are selling. They're old? Because I remember there was a lot of Latinos there
Yes.
in the Excelsior, right? That generation, are
Asian.
they selling and going back to their countries? Tell me what's going on there.
Okay, a lot of them are going back to their countries. A lot of them, they are basically all people that want to go back to their countries, but with money.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of money.
And well, think about it. If you sell here and you go back to El Salvador with $1.5 million in dollars, I mean, you're
Vietnam.
basically the owner of a small town out there.
Yeah, Vietnam. So like a lot of Vietnamese are selling right now.
Okay.
Yes, and then interesting enough is to say that the people that are buying are young people, 35, 40 years old.
Millennials that are coming of age.
Correct. And these are also minorities, but they're American minorities. Say Vietnamese American,
Correct.
Ukrainian American,
Latin American, from
American. Yes, but they're highly educated, and those
Right.
are the ones that are buying there.
Right.
So we can see a process where the old generation is retiring, and the new generations, their kids or their descendants, are coming over and they're buying there. And those are the ones
makes sense.
that at this very moment are moving the market in the Excelsior district, while this area is actually predominantly people that is rich.
Yeah.
That's what we have in here.
There are wealthy
and the
folks.
same song plays for the rentals too. So we
rentals.
see, for instance, here in Bernal Heights, all of the area that goes on Dover, Moultrie, Bennington, and the like. So we see predominantly people that are working as doctors or people that are working
And
as
tech.
lawyers,
And
renting
tech.
places. in
Or
there.
just doctors and
Yes,
and lawyers.
tons of them. Yes, tons of them. It's then the market in here. One bedroom is actually $4,500.
So $4,500 for a one bedroom in Bernal.
in Bernal Heights. That's correct. When it happens to be a house,
Bring your 401k.
we're talking about $7,000 or $8,000.
Wow.
So that's your average home.
No,
So
it's amazing to see how that all has changed. So what would you say to the person who's watching here who's thinking that there's going to be a major market correction? Because there's a lot of bubble theorists out there, right, that it's going to drop 10, 15, 20% now that rates have gone up, and it's causing a slowing down a little bit, especially around the country, not so much here. But what would you tell that person who is waiting, but who can buy right now, who wants to purchase here in San Francisco?
right. Okay, so I will say that the marketing here is very hot. San Francisco has a reputation of being historically the last place to fall and the first place to recuperate.
Yeah. Look at 2008. We
That's
flatlined
correct.
when everybody else was basically on fire and imploded.
Yep, that's correct. So if you're planning to buy, the moment is now. And there are places in the city, the Sunset, where you can
Excelsior,
buy.
like you
The
said.
Excelsior, yes. The border in between Daly City and San Francisco is another one. So all the way to go to Cow Palace. So especially on the hills where you can have really beautiful modern homes with views to the entire city. There's an area in San Francisco that people do not know very well, and it's that area that is
Okay,
everything that
that's good.
is on the hills
Good
by
information.
the Cow Palace.
Okay.
Oh God, the houses there are fabulous.
And by the way, that all has changed, right? It's not the drive-by gang banging area
No.
that it used to be.
No.
So do your homework, right? Or contact him; he'll do the homework for you. But yeah, I think that people have these preconceived notions of certain areas of San Francisco. Oh, you can't go there. Do your homework first.
Yeah.
Look, all
That's-
over the world, we're having problems with violence and we're having problems with crime. San Francisco's not unique to that, by the way. Of course, there's other areas, around the country that maybe are, population 30,000 that don't have as much crime. But the reality is, in all high-density cities around the world, you're starting to see that more and more. And I think a lot of that is happening because of the chasm that exists between the haves and have-nots that's getting wider and wider. There's more people with money and there's more people without money, and so you're seeing the widening of the different socioeconomic levels, and I think that's going to continue. So we'll see more and more violence, unfortunately, and more crime. But do your homework first before you write off a certain neighborhood or certain area.
Ed is completely right in that one. We see that even in these challenging days, still the marketing here upholds, and at the same time, is more and more promising for the families that are coming over to live in the city, and people can feel that. That's the reason
Yeah.
why people are buying.
Yeah.
So in
We'll continue to.
Bayview, so Bayview Heights, so anything that is close to what it used to be Monster Park, is actually good news. So a lot of development, a lot of new houses, is improving. Definitely,
Yeah.
the market is hot and improving.
Yeah. So whether you are well off or you're just wanting to buy in San Francisco and you're willing to be creative and do what it takes, I highly suggest that get your team together, right? Get your realtor, get your financing going. By the way, you always want to start out by getting approved first, not pre-qualified, but getting approved. Make sure you go through full underwriting. That way you can be competitive. How do they get a hold of you, by the way, if they want to get a hold of you to go look at some of these areas that are very promising?
Yes, thank you for asking it. All what you need to do is just text me 415-312-5017, 415-312-5017, and I will be more than happy to assist you.
There you go. You heard it here first. Have a great day, and until the
Ciao.
next time.